Okay, in this video we are going to be talking about the best way to get devil fruits. Now, the last time I made this video, I really can't remember when it was. It had to have been months and months and months ago, so I think it's time for a refresher considering the fact that there's new ways of getting devil fruits now. So I want to cover sort of 4 or 5 major ways, I guess, of getting devil fruits. Well, before we discuss we're going to discuss every way you can get devil fruits before we discuss the best way. So the first way of getting devil fruits is obviously, the starter way of doing it, how you should be getting your first real devil fruit realistically, or how it used to be that you were going to get your first real devil fruit. And that is marine ship farming. Now, marine ship farming can be done. It's not that difficult. I'd recommend you use Diable Jambe or something, because it's just, you get the projectiles, you get strong M1. So I'd recommend Blackleg and Diable Jambe if you're going to do it. If you don't already have a devil fruit. If you do have a devil fruit, obviously you want to use some Logias with high AoE, high damage, probably Magu, Pika, something like that. Those are probably going to get the job done the best. Something like Goro, maybe even. Mera. Those fruits will definitely get the job done the best. Runner up, probably the best rare to do it with would maybe be Bomb. I wouldn't recommend doing it with a common at all. That just seems horrible. But yeah, if you don't have a devil fruit, or if you have a common devil fruit, I would use Diable for marine ship farming. Marine ship farming is super solid. It's a bit time consuming, especially considering the fact that you have no guaranteed way of getting a devil fruit. It's all left up to chance, which some of the other ones on this list don't really have that issue. Next we have Sea Beast and Kraken farming. I'm counting these as one because they're pretty much the same. Both can get you devil fruits. I think Krakens have a higher chance of getting better ones, or a higher chance of getting a devil fruit drop, but they are significantly harder to grind than Sea Beasts. So yeah, Sea Beast and Kraken farming is another one. It's very similar to marine ship farming. It scales off of your bounty. The same fruits that are pretty good for grinding marine ships are also good for grinding sea beasts. It's generally the same idea. Again, if you don't have a devil fruit, I'd probably just end up using Diable, or maybe I wouldn't use one sword style. Yeah, probably just Diable, to be honest with you. I think it's the best grinding fighting style I'm gonna have to go with. But yeah, next we are gonna talk about the actual first good method, being dungeons. Well, not to say those other ones aren't good, but I'm just saying. Dungeons is super solid. It's mainly how people get a majority of their devil fruits is just through dungeons. You complete 25 waves and you are guaranteed a devil fruit. If you continue to go farther and you go to 50, which I do not recommend, you're guaranteed to get a rare, but it's incredibly time consuming to go to wave 50. So I'd just go to wave 25 and then just get yourself killed on purpose so that it ends. And that's the way I would do it. That's the way I do end up doing it. And again, the same fruits that would be good for marine ship farming, sea beast farming, are also good for dungeons. Generally, these PvE fruits are all around good for these types of grinding. So dungeons, it does get boring fast. It is all the same thing over and over. You just go from wave to wave to wave to wave. You're just stuck doing it, and it is a real pain. I will not lie, it really is. But it's just it's good, but you're gonna be sick of it after the 4th or 3rd, 5th dungeon, whatever. You're gonna hate yourself. You're gonna want to end it all. It's awful. It's completely awful, especially considering the fact that you're not really guaranteed a good fruit. You're just guaranteed a fruit. It's pretty annoying, and especially considering how time consuming it can be. And it can be somewhat difficult and even more time consuming to solo sometimes. So that's another thing about it. But yeah, it's not the greatest. It's good for actually getting the devil fruits, but doing it itself is not the greatest. But unlike the other 3 to whatever you want to count it as we named on the list, this one, you're actually guaranteed a devil fruit after a certain amount of time, which you can't really say for Sea Beast, Kraken, or marine ship farming. Those ones are completely left up to chance, and you could go, I've gone hours without getting a devil fruit, and it is completely infuriating to go that long without getting a devil fruit. But for what's it called, dungeons, you're not really faced with that issue, which is phenomenal. It is great to not have to put up with that, I will not lie. And now this next one, which is limited time, my personal favorite, and actually at times even funnest way, well, it is definitely the funnest, but I actually find it fun at times to do, is Cupid's Dungeon. Cupid's Dungeon is for Valentine's Day, and it is similar to normal dungeons, except for the enemies don't really come to you. You kind of progress throughout this Valentine themed map with these text options coming up after each wave. And you will start off at wave 1, where a few enemies will come at you. It's pretty easy, pretty simple. They're all very weak. And then wave 2, you move up, and you know, another set of pretty easy, weak enemies. And then wave 3, enemies begin to actually get a little bit harder. They get weapons, like real weapons, like ranged weapons and stuff. And they, you know, there's more of them, and you're kind of at this cool part in the map, and it's just visually it's very appealing, and it's a lot more satisfying to do. It's a lot more intriguing, a lot more entertaining, a lot more immersive than just sitting there standing still and waiting. But then after that wave, you get wave 4, where you fight these guards who actually have the event weapons on them. And by the way, I didn't mention this, but some of these NPCs can drop event items, and there's a bunch of event items to get, a bunch of accessories, a bunch of weapons, all that cool stuff. So it's definitely something to look for. But yeah, wave 4, you fight these guards. Wave 5, you fight even harder and more guards. Wave 6 is actually a Mara boss, which is definitely interesting to fight. He also has his own set of boss drops. They're fairly solid, fairly good boss drops. I use some of them. They're, you know, he's not a very boring boss fight, and he's not too difficult either. I mean, if you have a good fruit, you can solo, but if you don't, then 2 to 3 people, you should be able to get it done easily. So yeah, and then after that, you will fight the Valentine Boss, and she is a phenomenal boss. She is a great boss fight to have because A, she is a 2-stage boss, which we don't have a lot of in this game. Really, the only one that's in the game right now that is like that is Eneru. I think the Christmas event bosses had multiple stages. I can't really remember. But yeah, Eneru is really the only other boss that has multiple stages, and this stage is kind of lame. But pretty much this boss, you fight her. She has I think a battle axe, the event item battle axe, which is, you know, it's pretty easy to come up with. It's easy to predict her fighting patterns, and it's easy to counter. To be honest with you, she has 1 low damage guard break. It comes out quickly, so it's a little hard to predict. But other than that, it's a pretty easy fight. But then once you get her down to half HP, she will switch weapons to the wand, Cupid's wand, and she will chuck out meteors from time to time. But mixed with these meteors, either before, after, or during these meteors, she will chuck out a bolt of lightning that will guard break you out of nowhere, and it is very annoying to put up with. Again, the boss fight isn't too difficult, but if you have a good fruit and you can learn her fighting patterns, you should be able to solo. But it's significantly easier with someone else, though they do scale up the difficulty if you do have other people with you, of course. Now, my favorite part about these dungeons is not let alone that they are just more fun to do, less painful to do. They're also a lot more time efficient to do. You could probably do 2 of these dungeons within the time it takes you to get to wave 25. I haven't really tested this, but it just feels a lot faster to do. This could be chalked up to how much funner they are to do, but it definitely just does feel a lot faster, and the reward is a lot more. You know, you get event items and you get a devil fruit at the end, so that's always nice. And if I'm not mistaken, the chances on it are the same as normal dungeons, you know, depending on what fruit you're going to get. The only setback, the only drawback to this is you can't go past that wave. So you know how in normal dungeons I said you could go to wave 50 and get a rare guaranteed. In this, you cannot, obviously, because after the boss it's just over. But nobody ever goes past wave 25 anyways, because it's just not efficient. It's not worth it. You don't really need to. You could get a lot more. You could probably get 4 or 5 normal dungeons done between wave 0 and 25 before you go from wave 0 to 50. So it's just not worth going to wave 50, and chances are you'd end up failing if you're soloing, unless you have a really long and annoying strat you're doing, which that's even more time consuming. But yeah, Cupid Dungeon's the most efficient, the most fun. I hope you guys enjoyed this video on, you know, talking about devil fruits and stuff and how to get them, because I'm sure a lot of people, you know, with more people that come to play this game, the more people that'll be curious on what the best way is. I say it's Cupid Dungeons. Use Diable Jambe. You might be able to solo with it. If not, grab a friend. If you don't got any friends to play with, you can always marine chip farm until you get a decent fruit, maybe bomb. If you can figure out how to solo with bomb, I'm sure it's possible with the right build and the right amount of skill. You can do Cupid's Dungeons with bomb. And I'm just saying that's how I would go about getting my devil fruit if I played the game alone. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys next time. Peace.